Hello dear students, welcome back again to Chinmoyee's YouTube channel. So we have already completed the digestive system. Now we are up here again with another new episode. Today we are going to learn about skin. So we should know that what is skin, what are its function and how there are different layers of skin which protects us from the external wear and tear. Now, before we get into today's topic, I would request you to subscribe to my channel and please do like and share my videos so that many students can get benefit from my videos. If you are having friends or your near and dear ones who are all studying in ICSE or rather CBSE and they are having this topic which I am discussing, so as these topics are very common in biology, please do share my channel, share my link with them so that they can get the updates whichever I am posting. So I think you are not having any doubts with digestive system which I have posted yet. Now let us start with today's episode of skin structure and its function, and these are all under the physiological part of the human physiology rather in your ninth biology. So let us see what is there in today's lesson. Now, what are the main learning objectives of today's lesson? Now, we are going to describe about the structure of the skin. We will list the different layers of the skin and we will describe the functions of each layer. So, how these layers are helping us to perform several functions. So, we will discuss the function of each layer. So, these functions are also to be discussed with these structure and functions both will be discussed. So let us start. Now what is skin? So skin we all know is the outermost layer of the body. So skin is the outermost layer of the body and it covers the entire body. So our full body is covered with skin and it is having a surface area of 1.5 to 2 square meters, and it accounts for about 15 to 16% of the total body weight of an average human being. So it is the largest organ as it is covering the full body part. It is the largest organ of the body, and skin with is having many structures and glands which are derived from the skin. Those are called skin derivatives. That also we know. And skin with all its derivatives is known as the integument, or it forms the integumentary system. So skin in its proper is the normal skin proper and its skin derivatives, they together form the integument or the integumentary system, and it is the largest organ of the skin which contains of the 15 to 16% of the total body weight. Okay, it's clear, it's very easy. So we know now what is skin, how much body area it is covering, and what is the approximate weight of the skin. And it is the largest organ. It is with its derivatives is called the integumentary system. So let us move on now. Now here, what is the structure of the skin? Now let us see in this slide that this is skin. So skin, it is divided into two types, that is skin proper and the skin derivatives. Now what does the skin proper contain? The skin proper contains the epidermis. It is containing the epidermis and the dermis. Okay, so the skin proper contains the epidermis and the dermis. So the epidermis consists of the cornified layer, the granular layer and the malphigian layer. And the dermis, it consists of the elastic fibers, the nerves and the blood vessels. So skin proper, it consists of the cornified layer, that is the outermost layer, the middle granular layer and the last layer or the innermost malphigian or the germinative layer. Now there are skin derivatives. So skin derivatives, what are they? Skin derivatives are hairs, sweat glands, mammary glands, nails and sebaceous glands. So the glands which are being derived from the skin are all the derivatives of the skin. So they are derived from the skin. So now let us see that what is in the skin proper. So in skin proper there are mainly composed of two layers. First one, outer lifeless layer called the epidermis, and next comes the inner living layer called the dermis. Is it clear? Now let us see the picture now and get a clear picture of the skin structure. So till now we are talking about the skin. We should see the structure of the skin. So we are going to see the structure now. Now see, now this is the structure of the skin. So if we are seeing the structure here now we will see under a microscope, we can see this layers are being seen. So the epidermis is the outermost layer. We have already told that it is a lifeless layer and it is formed of the stratified epithelium. It is formed of stratified epithelium and which is arranged in horizontal layers. Okay, it is lifeless due to not containing any blood vessels. Now, at places which are like palms, heels, and soles, they become hard because the wear and tear, the work, what the palms, heels, or soles faces, it makes the outer layer or the lifeless layer of the skin very hard. Now, epidermis, it contains keratin which cannot be dissolved. So, it is not a soluble substance, right? It is an insoluble substance which is not even soluble by gastric as well as pancreatic juice. And this epidermis is such a tough layer that it is covering the outer layer. It is the protective layer of the skin. And what we can say that it is again divided into three sub layers. So the outermost conified layer, the middle granular layer, and the innermost malphizian or the germinative layer. So this layer is the epidermis. It is not having any blood vessels. We can see from here, from the dermis region, we can see the blood vessels. So it is a living layer, dermis. The epidermis is a non-living layer because it is not having any blood vessels. And it is further divided into the outermost conified layer, the middle granular layer, and the innermost malphizian or the germinative layer. So till now, is it clear to everyone? Please make it clear each and every step which I am teaching you. If you are not clear, please go through it again. Go through your textbook which you are referring and then come back to my video and again see. And any questions, write there back in the comment box so that the next video when I am updating this next part of this lesson, I will clear your doubts. Now next one, let us see the layers of this epidermis. Now these are the sub layers of epidermis. First let us see what is the first sub layer of epidermis. It is the cornified layer. So it is the outermost and the topmost layer. It is the outermost layer and it is made up of flattened dead cells. We can see that no nucleus is present in these cells. Is there any nucleus? No. So it is not having any nuclei. So no nuclei is present in this cell. And they have already they have already lost their nuclei, and these cells are arranged and they're piled in layers. We can see that they're piled in layers one above the another and then filled with keratin. What is keratin? Now keratin, we all know it is made up of protein. It is a chemical basis of the skin, hair, feathers, horns. So everything is keratin. So all the skin tissues, basis of skin tissues is keratin, so which is formed from protein. So for that only we can say that protein is very essential component for the bodybuilding. So whatever we see, mostly skin also, it is having keratin, which is the chemical basis, and which such as the hairs, feathers, nails, horns, hooves, everything is formed from this protein. Now this part, it covers the entire body except the skin which is covering the mucous membrane. So mucous membrane is only not having this cornified layer, and it helps us to prevent the mechanical damage. What are its function? It is preventing us from bacterial infection. It is preventing us from drying out due to loss of dehydration of water by evaporation. Now this conified layer is constantly replaced. So here it is actually without nuclei and it is constantly replaced with new cells. How new cells? By peeling off the skin. So we can see that some scales, some flakes, at times they'll peel off. So that process, what is it called? It is called exfoliation. That process is called exfoliation. exfoliation of skin. So what is it? It is actually exfoliation of skin, which is the peeling of the skin to form the new one. That is worn away, that old skin is worn away and new cells grow. Now, generally, this process keeps on happening in children as well as teenagers, and so they are having a much more softer and smoother skin than to older people. That is renewed very often. Okay, and we can say that now just below the eyelids, we can see the thinnest part of the skin is just covering the eyelid, and while the thickest skin, where is it? The palms of the hand and the soles of the feet. So the eyelids are being covered with the thinnest skin. The skin there is very thin, and you can see your hand, your palms, and your soles of the feet, which are very, very, very hard. Okay, so these are the thinnest part and thickest part. Just for your information, you just remember that what is the thinnest part of the skin and what is the thickest part of the skin. Now let us see the next layer, or the granular layer. Okay, the granular layer is very thick. Now it is actually, this layer is again having 3 to 5 sub layers, and this is a waterproof layer because this is having glycolipids. Okay, and all the cells over here, they are having what I can say, that they are having glycolipids, and which actually slows down the water loss across the epidermis. So this is also a thin layer, and gradually this layer hardens up to give away, this is hardening up, and this is again gradually forming this conified layer, or the outermost layer. Okay, now then comes the germinative or the Malpighian inner layer. So the Malpighian inner layer, it is actually divides to produce new cells, and the old cells, are worn out cells, are being replaced by new cells from this part. So this is the deepest epidermal layer, and this layer contains melanin. So melanin, it gives us skin pigments. So this provides coloration to the skin, and it absorbs also the UV rays, or the ultraviolet rays of the sun, and it protects us. So you know that prolonged exposure to the sun causes substantial buildup of melanin, so which helps to protect the DNA of the skin cells from UV radiation. So this layer, this layer is the innermost layer. It is here the cells keep on actively dividing to produce new cells, which shift outwards. Now from this they shift outwards to the granular layer. Then the granular layer cells, they shift outward to form the conified layer. Like this is a gradual process, and here the cells keep up dividing. They form new cells, where the worn out cells are being replaced by the new cells which are being formed in the innermost layer. Now after this, we should see a few different types of pictures of this sub layers of the epidermis. So that we are having overview of these 3 layers, like conified layer, granular layer, and the Malpighian layer. We can see this view again. See here also we can see this view again. See the outermost layer without nuclei. Then the inner layer, the granular layer, which is again, it is a waterproof layer having glycolipids, so that it slows down the water loss away from the epidermis, and gradually this layer hardens up to give way to the outermost conified layer. Okay, now next comes the spinous layer and the basal layer, the last one, or the we can say the Malpighian layer, or the germinative layer. Another thing, I am having another slide of this. Okay, no, this is the last one. So these are all the sub layers of the skin, and I have already told you that the thinnest skin, which covers the eyelid, and the thickest part, which is the palms of the hand and the soles of the feet. Now we will be coming gradually to the dermis layer. So dermis, or it is also called the corium, that is the inner thick layer of connective tissue. So that is actually the inner thick layer of connective tissue. We can see the dermis over here. It is the inner thick layer. This is the dermis layer. This part is the dermis layer. It is the inner thick layer of connective tissue made up of elastic fibers. So it is very tough. It is the living layer which is having, see here, blood vessels are there. So dermis is rich in blood vessels which nourishes all the cells in it. And it is having, we can see here the sweat glands, we can see the hair follicles over here, we can see certain nerve fibers, we can see the sensory part also. So the dermis has two major layer again, the papillary layer and we can say the reticular layer. So what is the papillary layer? The papillary layer is the thin superficial layer which is made up of connective tissue which contains many blood capillaries. So this part is the papillary layer. So what is happening here in the papillary layer? This papillary layer is consisting of only connective tissues and many blood vessels or capillaries. So it is the superficial layer and small projections are there which are called the dermal papillae. Okay, and these dermal papillae, they contain the nerve endings. They all contain the nerve endings which are very sensitive. So nerve endings are there, you can see here. See minutely in this you can see the nerve endings also. See, there are nerve endings which are very sensitive to touch, pain, temperature and making the skin a sensory organ. So how is so it is what type of organ? It is an organ which senses the touch, pain, temperature. It is a sensory organ. So from which layer these senses are coming? The nerve endings, the sensory receptors are there present in the papillary layer, that is in the dermis. There is a layer called the papillary layer where these all sensory receptors are there. The nerve endings are there. So deeper reticular layer is also there, that is concerned with the varying thickness of the skin actually. It is attached to the bones and muscles. Okay, it is attached to the bones and muscles, and the dermis, it is also having several specialized cells. So these specialized cells are called fibroblast. Here in this diagram I am unable to show fibroblast, which are actually they help in the production of collagen. Okay, this is they help in the production of collagen. So below that layer comes the hypodermis. So what is hypodermis? It is actually a layer, it is actually acting as a cushion or a layer of insulation. So what is it doing? Beneath the skin layer of dermis there is a connective tissue layer only. It is called hypodermis, and this is actually not a part of the skin itself. It is loosely attached to the skin, to the tissues beneath it, because it is a fatty layer of adipose tissue which acts as a shock absorber. How there are shock absorbers in cars, you know, right? So it is acting as a shock absorber or an insulator which protects the skin from several shocks, several sudden attacks or sudden. It is acting as a cushion, and it is not a part of the skin also. It is acting as a cushion. It is a fatty layer of adipose tissue and it is acting as an insulator. So this is all about the structure of the skin. Now next we are going to deal with the derivatives of skin, that too in the next video. And this is actually a little bit difficult for you. I have taught you the first two main parts, skin proper and skin derivatives. So skin proper I have discussed that epidermis and dermis. Epidermis is having three layers again. And you should remember that, right? The outer layer, the middle layer and the inner layer. So outer layer was cornified layer, middle layer is the granular layer, the innermost layer is the germinative layer. Again we are coming to this dermis part, which is dermis part is having we can say two layers, the papillary layer which is having nerve endings which are having sensory receptors of touch, pain and temperature, and then the inner part, it contains of the muscles which are attached to the bones. It is actually attached, varying thickness is present in that layer, and it is attached to the bones and muscles. And the dermis also has specialized cells called the fibroblast which help in the production of collagen. So this is all about the outer structure of the skin with its inner structure, with diagram and with details. So please do learn these pictures also with label diagrams, so that whenever you are having different diagrams to draw, or whenever different parts are being given and their function and their structure is being told to describe, you can describe that, because your question paper generally you are having a picture where they show you certain parts and you need to answer seeing the parts, that what is the function of that part, what are present in that part. So it is actually, you should learn this each and every diagram also which I've shown in a nice way. Just draw it, practice it, and I think surely you will get to understand that how each and every part is working. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and share and comment whatever doubts you are having. Thank you.